The Euros are over. It was a disappointing defeat for England in the final. Congratulations to Spain. My agenda against Cucurella has never been stronger.
Mate, that video of him saying, Cucurella, he drinks Estrella. Shut up!
I hope in the first game he gets two-footed and he's out for the rest of his career.
Mate,
He's just a terrible person.
I hate it. But, yeah, like you said, fair play to Spain.
They were much the better team.
That's exactly it. We're not going to talk too much about the game because it is what it is. We lost to the better team. We lost to the better team on the day. We lost to the better team throughout the tournament. And yeah, there's not much to say apart from the fact that
it's disappointing.
Yeah, it's disappointing. England
happy to have got there because I didn't think we were going to get there coming out the group stages.
Yeah, mate.
But it is always disappointing when you're so close. Saw the looks on the boys' faces.
Saw my baby boy Bukayo crying.
Do you know what?
Hate it.
Jude Bellingham was not upset enough.
No,
he's going around hugging everyone.
Everyone in the comments were like, PR Jude is back at it again.
He saw Trump get exempted, and then he was like, I need to up my PR game.
Yeah.
So we'll lose the final.
I'm not making the headlines right now, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, it was disappointing. But today, we're going to be talking all things Gareth Southgate. The man has resigned, as we all pretty much expected, win or lose. I think he was going to resign.
Yeah, there was that little weird bit of like talk after the Netherlands, or after the game before the Netherlands as well, where it said like the FA wanted to keep him on, but it looked like he didn't really want to stay at that point.
This tournament, I think, was one step too far. I think I think being an England manager takes a toll on everyone. It's so much pressure, and I'm not saying it's any different to any international job in the world, but we know exactly what it's like being from England. The amount of media attention you get, the amount of criticism you receive, and after 8 years, it's got to be draining.
Oh yeah,
when you've got them to a final, a semi-final, a quarter-final, and we'll talk now about how England were before Gareth Southgate, because
it was ugly.
The job he's done is nothing short of phenomenal. The state England were in when he took over to where it is now is night and day. He's left the job in such a better position for 100%. The next manager that his work needs to be applauded. And I think that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give Gareth Southgate his flowers, 100%. What he truly deserves. And it would have been lovely. I would have wanted nothing more to see him be able to lift a trophy with England.
Yeah, you see a lot of people like James Lawrence Alcott come out and say they almost want Southgate to win a trophy more than like England as a country, because he's like given so much to that role. And check us out on Twitter, because I retweeted a post from Talk CPFC who kind of gave his thoughts on Southgate and his tenure and what he's done for like England as a nation and supporting the national team. And I thought it was a really well worded video. But yeah, like you said, we'll talk about how England looked prior to him coming in and how we look now.
Mm-hmm.
So before coming in, you always talk about those golden generations that didn't click, kind of club beefs that got carried on to international football, and kind of
there was no vibe to England. It was good players, no chemistry, no cohesion. They weren't a team. They were a group of individuals.
100%. And you can tell by the results. So I've got the last 4 tournaments before Southgate and then the 4 tournaments since Southgate. So in 2010, we hit the last 16. 2012, quarterfinals. 2014, lost in the first round of knockouts. So that's round of 32. And then 2016, last 16 again. So didn't hit anything past the quarters.
No. And even if you go back further than that, it's group stages, round of 16s, the few quarters, and like 1 or 2 semis.
And then Southgate comes in late 2018. Late 2016 he came in. Yeah, it's 8 years. And then got us to the World Cup in 2018 in Russia, semi-finals. Huge.
That's outrageous. For
first tournament.
And even then, the team wasn't that good.
Mate, we had the likes of Jesse Lingard, Dele Alli.
Yeah, it wasn't
Ashley Young.
Ashley Young, mate.
Mate, there was some honkers in that team.
That's
semi-finals, and that was when the vibe going into the tournament, everyone was kind of like, I didn't really know what to expect from Southgate in England. I think that just blew everyone away. And then started this kind of...
It set the bar, didn't it?
Yeah, the bar was set very high. And he followed it up well, because the 2021 Euros final, obviously lost against Italy, but kind of getting to the final, we were playing some very good football.
I think we were done dirty a little bit by some refereeing decisions during that final. But ultimately, we did sit back. We invited the pressure, we conceded,
Yeah.
and we lost on penalties, which, as we know, is a bit of a lottery.
But on the way there, great result against Denmark, beat Germany. So it was, like you said, semi-finals, first tournament, finals, the next tournament. The vibe was at an all-time high.
Qatar World Cup.
Qatar World Cup was weird. Quarterfinals, but lost to the eventual finalists.
Yeah, we lost to France. It was a close match. Harry Kane missed the penalty late on. It is what it is. I mean, it was still a good tournament in terms of how we performed, where we got to, and we got beaten by the second best team in the tournament. So
100%, and probably the best team in the world at that time. Argentina, I'm talking about you, mate. Some dodgy stuff coming out about the Argentines at the moment.
Yeah,
dodgy. But and then 2024 Euros hit the final again, back-to-back finals for Gareth Southgate in the Euros. Obviously, people talk about him not bringing home the bacon, bit of a nearly man. And there probably is.
There's truth in that.
Yeah, there is kind of substance to that. But England have only ever won one major tournament.
And that was literally 60 years ago.
Yeah. So
it's not.
It can't be expected for him to bring home the trophy. Like,
no.
That can't be his remit.
He's
it's
a
like
victim.
His remit from us. And like, he's a victim of his own success as well. Like semi-finals, then final. The only natural progression from that is to win.
The only thing is that when you get so close and you don't get it over the line constantly.
Yeah.
So I would say semi-final World Cup, we give him a pass maybe. Final against Italy, okay, one time. Quarter-final against France, that is what it is. But then that final against Spain, where you've had you're in your 8th year of managing this team, building what you want to do, you just need a little bit more. And throughout the tournament, we just needed that bit more. We scraped past Slovakia, we scraped past Switzerland on pens, we scraped past Netherlands.
And we said this during our Euros previews of England. It genuinely looks like the football's getting worse.
Yeah, and I think the vibe was getting worse.
The vibe was getting worse, and it's interesting because the players are getting better, and the common denominator is him. And obviously, we're here to give him his flowers, not really dig him out.
But when tactically you make the same mistakes again and again and again, eventually your tenure runs its course, because you can't, if you haven't changed in 6 years or 4 years from what happened previously, then that's a massive issue. Where do we go from here? Are we going to keep scoring first and sitting back, or are we going to keep sitting back, conceding, playing when we're 1-0 down, and then equalising and sitting back again? It's happened time and time again, and it just needs that little bit of something else. And it would have been lovely for it to come home, but it didn't. And now he's resigned. Yeah,
but he left with an absolutely gleaming record. Most knockout wins ever for an England manager. More final appearances than any other England manager. And as many semi-final appearances as every other England manager combined.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So
it's absolutely outrageous. And
it's impressive.
He's given us our best moments as England fans. I mean,
let's reminisce.
It's been so good.
So we're talking about the first World Cup in Russia. One of the best moments for Gareth Southgate. The 1-1 against Colombia that we won on penalties.
Yeah, it must have been one of our first knockout penalty victories in knockout rounds for
22 years.
That's ridiculous. And he's turned the entire penalty stigma around, I think.
Yeah.
So we only lost to Italy under his duration.
And now we've got some cold penalty takers.
Yeah, definitely.
Parma,
but what I remember that so vividly, Eric Dyer stepping up.
Mate, the vibes are crazy.
I mean, Pickford's been his main man throughout. He's made so many clutch saves.
Will we get the blue check?
Yeah. Blue check Bushy.
Cheese!
Fantastic. And Eric Dyer slots it past. Was it Yerry Mina who missed?
Yeah, maybe.
Or did he equalise? I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
2018.
But what a time. And then that set the bar. That set up our semi-final against Croatia, which we didn't manage to get past.
We won't talk about the lows.
Coming out of that, we were thinking, mate, we could do something now. We're not the bottle jobs we were. He turned the stigma around. England penalty bottle jobs. Not anymore.
Another banger. The Euros where we eventually lost to Italy. Like we were saying earlier, 2-1 against Denmark was a huge game. We went 1-0 down early doors.
Free kick, Damsgaard, no?
Yeah. And then battled our way back into the game, went to extra time, got a penalty.
Yeah.
Some might say a controversial penalty. Who knows? Harry Kane missed the penalty, but then scored the rebound.
Yeah.
The absolute scenes to book our first final in a trillion years.
Yeah. Our first final since the 1966 World Cup.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, already then he's set the level and exceeded it in his next tournament. And unfortunately, yeah, we didn't go on to win it, but then the mood is good.
That was a good night.
You think you're looking to Qatar, and you're thinking we could do something. Obviously, Qatar didn't work out. We drew France quite early on the knockouts.
Yeah.
But then this tournament,
Euros, another special night. We had a couple. We obviously had Jude Bellingham's bicycle kick, but my personal favourite of this Euros, the 2-1 against Netherlands, the Ollie Watkins late goal.
yeah, I
The
mean,
absolute scenes.
the first half was scintillating.
Yeah,
Played
and that was our
brilliant
best
football.
performance of the tournament, yeah.
Second half wasn't so good, but then all it took was that one moment. He made the substitutions.
Yeah.
They combined for Ollie Watkins to do the most magical of finishes and take England to a second consecutive Euros final. We had the world at our feet. We thought we could play terribly and we might still bring it home.
Yeah, everyone kind of eventually started saying, we don't care how we play as long as we bring it home. And that was fair dues. We all started to believe, and then the final happened.
Yeah.
Honourable mention for the game before Denmark, where we beat Germany 2-0. That was a good vibe.
Yeah, it was a lackluster Germany team, but
Yeah, everyone kind of said that.
we were still going into that. We watched that at Buckley's, and we were going into that thinking, well, we are the better team on paper, but this is Germany. This is the old enemy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, good vibe.
that was a
2-0.
fantastic performance.
Yeah, it was good. But they're all the highs. Now, the reign is over, and we are currently managerless. So,
yeah, it's exciting, but I'm sad.
it's a big
I'm excited.
role. Like, it's a
I'm
big move.
nervous. The grass isn't always greener
Exactly that.
because international management is so different to club management. You don't get the time with the players. You can't implement these really advanced systems. From one year to another, you might have different personnel, an entirely different squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is so different.
Right, so I've got a list here of potential replacements, but before we jump into that, where do you stand on the England manager has to be English debate? Because it's rife at the moment.
I think
You've
it
got
helps.
pundits coming out. I think Gary Neville came out earlier today and said he has to be English.
Do you know what?
No.
I don't care as long as we win things and we compete. I don't really care. I think it does help if they're English
in terms of like getting the fans on side, maybe.
and they understand what it means. They understand what it means. If you got Pep Guardiola in, his country's just won Euros. They've won World Cup, Euros. They've won everything, mate. And I think he would get it.
Yeah.
But would he get it to the court? Gareth Southgate missed a penalty
Yeah.
in, what was it, a semi-final or quarter-final, and then he wanted to redeem himself. So you knew every time he stepped on to manage that team on the touchline,
Yeah.
he wanted to win more than anything. I don't think any manager is different in that, but there's something that you can't get that sensation.
Yeah.
But the biggest issue for me is that England just doesn't produce good managers.
Yeah, I think that is it, yeah.
An English manager's never won the Premier League. Says it all. We're talking about top managers. We'll get onto some on the list. But Gary O'Neill, Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, they're not like
upper echelon.
they're not. You wouldn't see them managing Real Madrid.
No,
You wouldn't see them managing Real Madrid.
you wouldn't.
So I'm all for just getting the best manager in, the best suited manager, because I don't think the issue of club harmony, the issue of cohesion within the team is a massive thing anymore. I think it can quickly go wrong,
Yeah.
but he's got a good foundation there. So as long as we get someone who's good at managing players, who's good at building relationships with the players, I think we'll be fine.
Well, that's a good segue to my first potential appointment. We'll start with the English Donnies. We've got Lee Carsley, under-21 manager, won the Euros last summer with the under-21s. He's come up through the system. From what I've heard and read, he's a good man manager.
Plays good football.
Plays exciting football, which hopefully he'd carry through. And obviously he knows the under-21, so he knows some of the boys like Cole Palmer, bloody Anthony Gordon,
Wharton probably.
XYZ.
Yeah.
So that, and I think he is favourite at the moment. I think FA kind of like to keep it in-house.
Yeah, I have
kind
no
of
problem. We saw the Spain manager. He managed all the way throughout.
Yeah, facts.
They've gone on to win a title. And I think that does help because he knows the FA, he knows St. George's Park, he
knows the boys.
He knows, he knows how the system works. And he's not bringing any luggage with him. Do you know what I mean? Any baggage. He'll be settled very quickly. And he's probably had a lot of dealings with like you say, the senior members of the squad, with the members that have broken into the English
100%.
first team. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad appointment at all. Time will only tell, though. We don't have a lot to look back on. Do you know what I mean? You can only take what's put in front of you at the minute.
He's probably like the least exciting of the managers because he doesn't have that kind of elite.
He doesn't have the pedigree, does he?
Yeah, elite level history.
But I think sometimes the most obvious,
like that Spain manager you said,
is the most sensible option, and it works out. So I think he probably deserves a chance at it.
Next up, another English manager. We got Newcastle boss Eddie Howe. So he's been on record as saying that no matter what job he's in, if England come calling, he'll take the England job.
Mm.
And that was since he was doing really well at Bournemouth, and obviously now he's kind of pushed on
to Newcastle,
new level, Champions League football.
Yeah.
So he's kind of, I'd say out of all the English managers, he's the one with the highest pedigree.
Definitely. I don't know if he's the most exciting out of all the English managers.
No, I'd say probably out of the three, him, Potter and Howe, he probably plays the worst football.
Him, Potter and Carsley.
Yeah, he probably plays the worst football. But
I think
most
that
kind
style,
of elite level.
The style that he plays is like almost more tournament football than Potter or Carsley. It's less progressive, it's less free flowing.
Yeah, a bit more.
But it wins you
pragmatic.
games.
Yeah.
It wins you games, and we've seen Newcastle, I would argue, punching above their weight.
Agreed.
So they were competing for the Champions League positions with teams with much better squads than them.
Mm-hmm.
They had a fairly alright showing in the Champions League
Yep.
with much worse squads than the likes of PSG, AC Milan, even Dortmund. And I think he'd be a very shrewd appointment. I don't know if it really fills me with that much excitement.
No,
but
like I said, he's probably the least exciting in terms of actual football. But like we were saying with Carsley, I think he's quite a good man manager, quite a good
he'd be good for building a good environment.
Yeah, 100%.
I think everywhere he's gone, you've done a good job that way. Like, even if he left Newcastle now, the fans would like put their hands up and like applaud him out the way and miss him.
Yeah,
he's done the same at Bournemouth. And yeah, I think he'd be a really shrewd appointment. I think this might be coming at the wrong time now, though. The season's about to start. I know what he said in the past, but yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about that.
Last England Donny, we got Graham Potter, whose stocks were insanely high after 3 years at Brighton. Took the Chelsea job maybe a bit prematurely. That went however you want to kind of read into that. I think he was probably harshly dismissed.
Yeah, would agree.
But he's not been in a job since. He's turned down the Ajax job, I think, in that time.
Yeah. He's probably had multiple
offers from
English clubs.
Yeah, where do you stand on Graham Potter?
I really like Graham Potter, but I think he's more of a project manager. Although I think he may be suited better to international management than Eddie Howe and some of the other names on the list, because I think the way that he plays in a system, it's not particularly complicated, but it's effective. And I know that whilst he was at Brighton, they played like this really exciting free-flowing football. But then you saw De Zerbi come in, and the level went up.
Yeah.
The demand went up. The system became 5 times more complicated.
Yeah.
And I think he would be really good at like just building a really solid England team, picking his players that he wants. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because he's not been in management for like 2 years now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's one of those managers, like you said, that his system kind of overrides like the players. And so he could get new players in, and as long as they fit his system, we should be fine. So like if there's underperforming players, like I think Southgate was kind of shafted this tournament that Sterling and Rashford had a really poor Premier League season, and he couldn't bring them, whereas like the squad was actually gagging for them.
But then he had like a half-fit Harry Kane that he was sort of forcing to play.
Yeah, whereas like Graham Potter, I think if he knows these players aren't gonna like have a good season, the system will work anyway without those players.
But Graham Potter's not going to shoehorn players in. He's not going to play Kieran Trippier at left back.
Yeah,
he's not going to play Jude Bellingham at left wing. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to play Foden at left wing.
Yeah,
they fit the system, or they play apart from the bench.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think out of the 3 English managers, he might be the one that I'm edging towards. Maybe
interesting. I don't know. I'll come back to you on out of the 3 English who I'm most interested.
They're all very similar to me in terms of how exciting they get me. But I think
it's because you look at the foreign names that I've got listed, and like they're just not in the same caliber.
They're a different caliber, aren't they?
Right. Let's talk about the foreigners. We'll start with Maurizio Pochettino.
Sound a bit like Nigel Farage, mate.
Come on, reform.
Pochettino.
No, I'm joking.
I like this.
Yeah. Oh, what? Reform UK?
No, I like Pochettino.
Yeah.
I really like Pochettino. I think he done a really good job at the end of the season with Chelsea.
Yeah.
He walked into that club and it was toxic.
And it's toxic again.
I think he regrets ever joining that club, which is fair enough. But do you know what? I think he's good with young players. He's got a clear identity in terms of the way that he wants to play football.
He seems to have like a big passion for English football as well.
Yeah, and it would make sense that it just fits for me. I don't know, in my head.
But is it
just
like
seems
he's so much of a nearly man, like his time at Tottenham, like his time at PSG wasn't great, his time at Chelsea. Is that a nearly man coming into a nearly man environment and we're just going to be nearly men for longer?
Oh, that's deep.
That is deep.
But
yeah, I like him. I like his style.
do you know what?
I like his style of play. I like his kind of aura as a manager. I think he's quite like level-headed, never really like loses his head if things are going bad, and never like loses his cool if things are going really well. I think
he knows how to handle the English media.
Yeah.
I think he's fairly well liked amongst English football fans.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he'd be a really good appointment. Really good appointment. And he's managed big teams. He's managed big egos. And I think he always leaves teams better than they were before.
Yeah.
So if he joins a club that's in really good, like a team like England, who's in really good stead, back-to-back consecutive Euro finals, really good environment, got good backing from the FA, great facilities, a plethora of talent to pick from, I really think he would be a fantastic fit for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, up next, we got the two big Donnies. We'll start with Jurgen Klopp, who is
It's just never going to happen, is it?
out of manager work after leaving Liverpool, but he said he wants to take a break.
Yeah, well, that's
Could England get a temp guy in until Jurgen Klopp wants to come back? I don't know, like a Lee Carsley until Jurgen Klopp wants to manage again.
Football changes like week in, week out. I'm sure the season's going to start and Jurgen's going to be like, I hate being at home with a wife and kids.
Yeah.
Get me back on the training ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think
and like international management, it doesn't happen as often.
No,
so
I
maybe
agree.
it's a bit
So maybe that's where like it potentially could happen because it's not as intense as you know. The most intense periods are the month of a tournament and like slightly the build up. But you're basically on holiday for like you get to go to grounds, watch football. Do you know what I mean? You work. You get to sort of get it out your system for 2 weeks every couple months.
And he knows how to use Trent.
Yeah, well, I genuinely think the season's going to start. He's going to miss it so much. And then he's going to want to get his teeth back into it. And I just don't think international football gives you that sort of... It doesn't get you as involved constantly. It's not going to scratch that itch for him. So as much as I would love it, I also think international football, you don't get the time to spend with the players. His system is quite complicated.
Yeah.
Do you know...
Well, talking about complicated systems, up next is Pep Guardiola, who his contract to Man City runs out next summer. Man City could be relegated, could have 115 charges dunked on their head. And he looks like he is pretty set to leave at that point. Could he be England's next manager?
Well, there's lots of rumours that England are going to sort of hire an intermediate manager to take over until Pep's contract runs out. I mean, unless you have...
He has come on record to say he wants to internationally manage.
He's going to manage Spain, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. Unless you go to him now and you say, look, Pep, at the end of this year, you're joining England, and he signs that contract, and that's it, then fine. Yeah. But you don't wait.
Or you like held him hostage, say, Man City can get off of this 115 charges if you manage England to a World Cup.
Oh, mate, that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
You just held him hostage.
Yeah. Just blackmailing him into the England job. Yeah, I just can't see it happening. I can't see him committing a year in advance to an England job.
No.
And we need this year now we need to get a manager in early to start rebuilding. Do you know what I mean? To take what's been left there now and to really start moulding it into their own shape. So when it comes to the 2026 World Cup, we are in good stead to go and compete again. And I just don't see it happening. I think one other name that's been mentioned is Thomas Tuchel.
Oh, yeah. He wants to get back into England. I think he has unfinished business here.
Yeah, whilst he's a very good tournament manager, I think, whilst he's a very good manager overall, I don't think he fits the England philosophy. I think he can be quite abrasive. I don't think he gets on with everyone. I think he's
quite defensive,
quite
as well.
Marmite.
Yeah,
you either love him or you hate him, and I don't think that's the kind of energy that we want to bring into this England setup.
Also, and I don't want to do the nationality thing, a German in charge in charge of
I
England.
don't care, mate.
That
I
could be
really,
scenes.
really don't care.
That could be scenes.
Mate,
And
if we win it and they go, oh, it took a German to bring football back to England, I don't care, mate. We'll see you at the parade.
And then Serena Wiegman, everyone's talking about her. Maybe she's taking England to England ladies to Euro 2025. She said she doesn't want the job, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Don't want it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's just I think that's maybe more of a mention to just get people riled up and talking.
She does win things. She's won the
got
Euros.
pedigree.
Yeah, she's won the Euros with the Dutch team. Won the Euros with the England ladies.
Mate, she's got pedigree, like
done all right.
100%. But then if you go from managing the England women's team to managing the England men's team, are you then saying that that's a step up? And then what's that say for the women's game?
100%.
And taking the best managers out of the women's game doesn't do the women's game any good.
Right. So, out of the managers we've said, who's your ideal pick? And then if it's none of them, give me who your ideal pick is.
My ideal pick overall, I think, is Pochettino.
Okay, interesting.
In terms of reality of it happening, obviously I would love Pep Guardiola. I would love Jurgen Klopp. Realistically, I would love Pochettino out of the ones that I think could happen. If it's going to be an English manager, Potter. But out of all of them, Pochettino.
Interesting. So my favourite, I think, is Eddie Howe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good manager, good kind of, like you said, good at working with not the best group of players. And I think this England group, like we saw against Spain, they aren't the best group of players. We've got big players, but we aren't like the best team in the world. So I think Eddie Howe would be a good manager for them. But Thomas Frank, someone talked to me about Thomas Frank. I like him. I think he wonders he plays good football.
Yeah. With not the best team.
Used to kind of the English setup. I think he could be interesting.
I mean, that Brentford team constantly give the top 6 teams a good run for their money.
I really like him and his style of play. I like him as a manager.
I think tactically he gets it spot on.
Yeah, I like him. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below who would be your next England manager.
I thought I had to go off the list.
Oh no, give me someone off the list then.
Mickey Beale.
Jeez.
Nah, no
People
chance.
talking about Rob Edwards maybe.
Rob Edwards in the bad shout. Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
Maybe a shout. It's got to be Neil Warnock, mate. I saw that he came out though today and said he's committed to Torquay United.
Jeez.
Saw Roy Hodgson come out and say he's got unfinished business with England.
Or do we do another ex-player? We're
No
continuing
chance.
the pod for
Mate,
some reason here. But like Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard.
Lampard, Gerrard,
Rooney.
stay away.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind Rooney as much.
Yeah.
But still, just leave that. Let that be. Give it Hendo.
Right, yeah, let us know in the comments down below your next England manager. Hope you enjoyed. Follow us on all social media. TikTok is booming at the moment. We just hit a K over there, so shout out you guys.
Yeah, let us know down below. And yeah, follow us on all our socials. Hit us up on classic football shirts.
New season is starting. Get yourself some gear.
Mate, look at all these lovely shirts. You can cop some yourself. Head on over to Classic Football Shirts. Use the link in the description below. Use code BALLDRAW10 at checkout to save yourself a nice little 10% off any purchases. And yeah, the season is now nearly upon us. We will be covering so much of the transfer news, a lot of the team news, a lot of our predictions going into the new season. So make sure you are subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss a beat, because the season will be here before you know it. And I need the season to come soon to take away my sadness.
Jeez.
It's been ball draw.
QPR are going to give you more sadness.
Now we're going to win the whole thing. HMS Pitch the League, and it's live.